Welcome back to part 3 of Module 6, Lesson 1, where we are learning to write and solve one-step equations. You can see in this one they've already given us a head start where they isolated the variable, dividing both sides by the 2500ths. The 2500ths on the left, those will of course divide each other out, becoming 1, and 1 times x is going to be x. On the right though, we have some grunt work that we're going to need to do, and you can see I've set up my problem here where I have a negative 16, first number goes in the house, divided by 2500ths. From there, we're going to take and bounce the decimal outside the house, 1, 2 spaces until it hits a wall. We're going to bounce the decimal inside the house, 1, 2 spaces again, and we're going to fill those up with zeros as needed. 25 goes into 1 0 times, goes into 16 0 times, but it goes into 160 6 times, and 6 times 25, that's going to be 150, and that leaves me 10 left over. Bring this other 0 down, whoop, need a line there, and then 25 goes into 104 times, with 4 times 25 being 100, with nothing left over. A negative divided by a positive is a negative, so our final answer is going to be a negative 64. We're going to come back over here, type our negative 64 in right there, and hit check, and we are good. Easy math. Anybody can do this stuff. You just got to take the time to do the algebraic work, and when needed, the grunt work that goes with it as well. Now it's going to be your turn to work a problem on your own. Once I get that reset, you go ahead and work extra example 6. Negative 2.8p is equal to 4.2 on your own. Make sure you're giving me good quality supporting work, both algebraically and with your grunt work. Alright, it's my turn to work the problem now. So I'm going to start off by taking and isolating the variable, dividing a negative 2.8 on both sides. Do it on the left, do it on the right. The negatives divide each other out, becoming positive. 2.8 divided by 2.8 is 1, and 1 times p is p. And then we're going to need to do some grunt work here. First number goes in the house, 4.2 divided by negative 2.8. We're going to bounce the decimal outside the house until it hits the wall. Bounce the decimal inside the house the same number of places to the right, and move it straight up. 28 goes into 42 1 times, and 1 times 28 is 28. You subtract that, you get 14 left over. Annex in a 0, bring it down, and that's going to be a little bit harder. 28 goes into 140. I'm going to say 5 times. 5 times 8 is 40. 5 times 2 is 10, plus a 4. That is going to end up being 14, and look at that. That's it. The problem's done, except for a positive divided by a negative being a negative, giving me a negative 1.5 for my answer. Jump back over to the problem page, type it in, negative 1.5, check, and the answer checks. It really is that simple to do these problems. Would you look at this problem? I think they're getting ready to hammer you guys on your homework tonight. We have negative 1/5 is equal to x minus 3/10. Final goal of any equation, isolate your variable. Your variable is x, his friend is 3/10, and 3/10 is subtracting x, so they're going to add it on both sides. But I really don't like how they're doing that. So instead, I'm going to keep what they did right there. That's where they found their least common denominator of 10. But I'm going to take and change some stuff up here as well. Paste that in. So we got our least common denominator of 10 going on here. That part's good. And now I'm going to take and do my math horizontal, because I've taught you before that when you're working these fractions in your equations, you really want to do them horizontally. We're going to add 3/10 to both sides. So I get negative 2 over 10 plus 3 over 10 equals x minus 3 over 10 plus 3 over 10. And once again, the only thing that has changed is those 2 red plus 3/10. Everything else is the same in that equation. The 3/10 on the left zero each other out, except on the right, leaving x. And on the left, we have signs are different. Find the difference with the sign in front of the larger number going in front of the answer, which is going to be a positive 1 over 10. That looks a whole lot easier working at horizontal than it does doing all this vertical mess that they have. Don't do vertical mess with fractions. It just doesn't work. And of course the answer you're going to put in there is 1/10. Alright, now it's going to be your turn to work extra example 7. This one involves decimals instead of fractions, which is going to make some of the work a little easier. And yeah, add and subtract, that one will be a little easier than the last one we did. Make sure you're showing good quality supporting work on paper as you're working on this. As always, the final goal of any equation is to isolate our variable. Our variable is w, and its friend is 4.3. 4.3 is being subtracted from w, so we're going to start off by adding 4.3 to both sides. 4.3 on the left and 4.3 on the right. On the left, it's going to zero out, just leaving w is equal to. And then on the right, we got some issues here. We've got signs are different, find the difference. So we're going to actually subtract this even though you have a plus sign right here. 5 minus 3 is going to be 2. 6 minus 4 is going to be 2. The decimal comes down, and the sign in front of your larger number goes in front of your answer, making w equal a negative 2.2. Jump back over here to your negative 2.2 and check, and the answer checks. It's easy as that. As long as you take your time and think about what you're doing here, every one of these problems should be pretty easy to knock out for you. For the very last part of this very long lesson, we're going to look at converting word problems into algebraic expressions. Many real-world situations can be expressed with equations. Consider the following. The highest recorded temperature in Warsaw, Missouri is 118 degrees Fahrenheit. I think I might have been there that summer. It was brutal. The summer my grandmother died, yeah. Literally, hands touch the steering wheel on the car, they melt. It was awful. So, this is 158 degrees greater than the city's lowest temperature. What is the lowest temperature recorded? Well, let's take a look at it. First off, in words, we want to describe the mathematics of the problem. The highest recorded temperature, that's 158 degrees, greater than the lowest recorded temperature. From here, we're going to define the unknown variable, and the T is going to represent the lowest recorded temperature. That's what we're trying to get. And then we're going to work on putting that into an expression. That 118 is equal to 158 plus T. From there, you could take and solve it, which doesn't seem to be that they're actually requiring us to solve it. They do have a definition right here that you may or may not see on your next vocab quiz. But when you look at that one, think about this. That means that the coldest temperature is somewhere around, I don't know, negative 40 degrees if I was to take a stab in the dark on that one. So it goes from negative 40 to 118 degrees, and people live there. In Siberia, they make you live there. You don't get a choice. These people choose to live there. They could pack up and move anytime. But no, they're going to live someplace that goes from negative 40 degrees to 118 degrees. Don't get it. And it looks like we're now going to get to swim with the fishies here. A stingray is at a certain depth of the ocean. After ascending, that means we're going up a positive number, 5 1/2 feet. It is now at a depth of negative 14 5/6 feet. Write and solve an equation to determine the stingray's initial depth. Well, if you look at the graph, they started down here, and then it added 5 1/2 feet and ended here. So my thought is that the variable is going to be d for depth, but let's see what they say. We're going to flip the words over. The initial depth plus 5 1/2 feet equals the new depth, which is the negative 14 5/6 feet. The variable is d for depth, just like I said to pick. And then the equation is going to be the initial depth plus the 5 1/2 feet that it rose. That got it up to be the negative 14 5/6 feet. And of course, it's a negative number because it is still down in the ocean. Depths are always recorded as negative numbers. From there, we get to actually solve this one. So we're going to take and isolate the variable. You can see they've taken and, what did they do? They did a horrible mess here. So let's take and try and clean up their horrible mess some. Hold on. don't even think about trying to show your work the way the textbook did on this one. So what are we going to do here? Well, first thing they did is they found the least common denominator of 6, so 5 and 1/2 became 5 and 3/6, and you, unlike the textbook, are expected to continue writing the 14 and 5/6 on the other side. Next, we're going to take and isolate the variable by subtracting 5 and 3/6 on both sides, but in doing this, I'm going to go ahead and make them improper fractions too. 6 times 5 is 30, plus 3 is going to give me 33 over 6, minus, let me go ahead and change that part to red, minus 33 over 6, go back to the blue here, equals 6 times 14, well that's going to be 60, plus 24 is going to be 74, plus 5 is going to be a 79. Oh, wait, no, I did that wrong. That's not 79. Let me try that again. 60 plus 24 is going to be 84, 89, so that's going to give me a negative 89 over 6, and then I'm going to subtract the same 33 over 6 from it. This number is the 33 over 6. This number is going to be the 89 over 6, okay? From here, we're going to take and zero out those, leaving D on the left. And on the right, I have signs are the same. Find the sum. So that's going to end up giving me 80, 90, 100, 110, so that's 119, 122. So I get a negative 122, over 6, and that's still negative. And then I'm going to take and come off to the side to do some grunt work. 6 goes into 12 2 times. 2 times 6 is going to be 12 with nothing left over. Bring down the 0. Excuse me, bring down the 2. 6 goes into 2 0 times, which means your answer is going to be 20 and 2/6. A negative 20 and 2/6, also known as a negative 20 and 1/3 for the final answer. That one took quite a bit of work. If we jump back over to where they did theirs, I'm going to put, they got a different number than I did. Let's see what we did wrong. Actually, I didn't do anything wrong. Take a look. This one's an improper fraction, so their answer is going to end up being the same as mine, which was a negative 20 and 2 over 6, also known as a negative 20 and 1 over 3. They had me a little concerned there for a moment. Answer is correct. This is going to be showing your work. This is what I must see. If I see anything else on each and every problem of your homework, you've done it just for fun. I think we've done enough problems so far. And after that last problem, this one here would be stupid easy. So we're just going to go ahead and call it right here. You guys get started working on your homework assignment. Make sure you're giving me good, high-quality supporting work to justify all your answers. That way I can give you good credit on it. We'll see you in class tomorrow.